Welcome to the Predictive World series brought to you by SalesChoice, a company that specializes in ending revenue uncertainty for human advantage. I'm your host, Jen Yim. I'm the Director of Product and Marketing at SalesChoice, and we bring three offerings to market. We have Sales Insights, which helps sales professionals meet their sales plans with guided insights, Mood Insights, which helps frontline workers' voices be heard, all powered by AI. And our third offering is AI and data science as a service, designing and building and maintaining AI models with a new line of business on generative AI. So over the years, we've been hosting numerous experts and thought leaders in the fields of AI and revenue growth, building a trove of podcasts, webinars, white papers, and more. And I invite our listeners to go to saleschoice.com to be able to access that. So today I have with us AP, who's the Chief Product and Technology Officer at Skillsoft, and recently learned that he's gained a new title too, GM Enterprise Solutions. Welcome, AP, and pleasure to meet you. Could you tell us a bit about yourself?
Thank you, Jennifer, for the kind introduction. I am currently the Chief Product and Technology Officer of Skillsoft and also own the P&L for our content and platform business. So I have been in the software industry for a while, particularly software and SaaS. I have worked in companies like IBM and ACI worldwide. I joined Skillsoft in about late part of 2016, and I have been with Skillsoft ever since. I've seen the transformation of the company, built up Skillsoft's core platform called Percipio, and also modernized our content production and really reinvigorated the product offerings of Skillsoft that you see currently in the marketplace.
Well, you've been doing a lot. And could you tell us a bit about Skillsoft specifically?
Yes, happy to. Skillsoft, in short, actually provides talent development solutions all the way from individuals to small businesses to mid-market companies, as well as the largest enterprises. Our solutions are geared toward providing real outcomes and real skill development. So we don't offer learning for learning's sake. We offer measurable progress via learning, where either an individual can skill himself or herself to get a job and get ready for a certification, or an employee in a company or a cohort of employees can upskill from point A to point B in a journey, let's say from a data analyst to a data scientist, or from a data center technician to a cloud technician.
That sounds like something that would be definitely useful for myself and for so many people that I can think of. It's a really critical kind of a piece of software you have there. I'm going to turn it over to our Dr. Cindy Gordon to begin the conversation with AP.
Thanks, Jennifer, and welcome, AP. We're really thrilled to have you here. I wish that we were sitting beside each other and having a cup of coffee, but I will raise my coffee cup, and if you've got one, you can raise yours. But just to build on the conversation that we just had, obviously with your pedigree, as you go through the different opportunities that one has in one's life, what really attracted you to join Skillsoft, right? Because there's a story there, right? I'm a former Xerox leader, kind of, know what the big iron world's like, former Accenture partner. And I'm always curious on the point to leave that larger entity, even though you were over at ACI, because, obviously, there's thoughtful considerations, right? So just curious what your career highlights were to lead you to join Skillsoft. There's a story I'd love to hear.
That's a great question. The answer actually has two parts. My dad was an educator, right? He was an educator for all of his life, all the way from high school to college and universities. So that was, and that is somewhere in my DNA, right? I did not take up a career in being an educator, but I took up a career in software, have done a bunch of software work before joining Skillsoft. But Skillsoft actually has a tremendously noble mission, which is helping everybody realize their potential through education and learning. And that really, really appealed to me. And that's one of the reasons I joined Skillsoft. The other reason I joined Skillsoft was I really love to solve hard problems. And at the juncture of time that I joined Skillsoft, it needed a tremendous amount of product innovation. I'm drawn to innovation. I'm drawn to hard problems that combine innovation and challenges in commercial operations. That's who I am. I'm an innovator, but I can actually channel the innovation through complex commercial operations. And those two mixtures really, really attracted me to Skillsoft.
Yeah, it's hard for me not to think of, you found your ikiga, right? You found that purpose, right?
Yes.
You kind of
Yes.
got that central purpose in the sense of historical,
Mhm.
context, and, your passion for innovation and, moving things ahead. I think it's just so wonderful to hear that purposeful perspective. I love to dig deep into people because, that's really important for our listeners as well, is to dig deep, to be bold, to have the courage, and to
Yep.
really make sure we make our time here as precious as possible. So take me on a bit more of a deeper dive on the AI landscape, because most of our listeners are either chief data scientists or CEOs building AI applications, or people trying to really understand how they could apply AI. So when you came into Skillsoft, you obviously had a platform, had to go through some modernization. You had to really think hard about the AI, enablements, what data you had, what use cases might lend themselves to, applying AI, and just tell us the story there. I'm always curious about the tech stack that you've made choices on, because you have to make some choices.
That's a great question, Cindy. And to be honest, all of us know that AI was not born yesterday, right?
Okay.
AI is a long-standing discipline, and to be honest, I don't want to recount a long history. I want to come to the point pretty quickly. But that being said, Skillsoft platforms are replete with AI and uses of AI, the traditional machine learning AI, for example, for several years now, for over 5+ years now, right? But we are, of course, very, very steeped into the Gen AI revolution. And let me focus on that for a moment, because that's timely and important. Our offerings and how we behave, we actually think of AI and Gen AI in 3 different parts. Number one is what we teach. Number two is how we teach. And number three is how we use it ourselves internally. In what we teach, we have core offerings that go all the way from level setting a large organization in AI and generative AI, let's say 40,000 people in a large insurance company. I'm giving an example, right? Just a level set awareness. And then we have role-based curriculums, because generative AI like the spreadsheet, will actually affect every frontline worker. You could be in marketing, could be in HR, you could be in legal. You will find a use for it. So we have curriculums, which are progressive curriculums for each of these frontline roles. And then again, we have very deep curriculums for data scientists, data engineers, software engineers, cloud engineers, AI ops, etc. Right? So that's about what we teach. Generative AI is so endemic, it also changes how we teach, right? How we teach, meaning it actually enables us to layer a very exciting layer of interactivity with our content and what we offer, right? So for example, we've recently released something called Casey. It's a simulator, which is soft skill simulator. You can actually practice a difficult conversation with an AI avatar, right? Suppose you're going to have a difficult conversation with an employee or your manager. You can practice it several times before that. If you're a salesperson preparing to go into a client meeting, you can do a simulation practice. Which is a dynamic simulation using generative AI, right? It responds to you. It has the proper security guardrails and ethical guardrails for enterprise use, but it's a very different user experience. In our technology offerings, in the Codecademy brand, we are introducing AI-based capabilities like AI-based helper, AI-based code checker. We are thinking of peer programming using AI, for example, right? So that's about how we teach, the modality of teaching. Last but not the least, how we use it ourselves, right? So we are using AI internally to improve productivity every day of every department. I'll just give you some isolated examples, couple of isolated examples. Like a customer-centric company, we gather a lot of NPS data, right? NPS data is numeric, but along with it comes the more valuable part, which is the text, right? It gives you real insights. So we're using generative AI to go through reams of NPS text and actually filter out the key themes, right? That is tremendously useful for a product development cycle, right? We get skills mapping requests from our customers. Customers have their own skill taxonomies. Our content is based on our own skill taxonomy. We are using AI to rapidly map a customer's taxonomy into our content and provide useful recommendations. Those are just two examples in which we are using AI internally to be more productive and more helpful to our customers.
Yeah, is most of the content geared to that you've developed in the Skillsoft environment geared to technical resources, or is some of the content appropriate for board directors or C-levels more at the executive level? Like, do you have any broad, orientations or things, just, more drilled down to a technology, ecosystem?
Is your question scope to AI in specifically or in general?
Yeah, well, just one in the sense of your content and the curriculum that you offer, right? And the learning.
Right. So let me answer it broadly first and then go to AI for a second. So broadly, we offer content in three major areas, right? One is technology skills development, which is one of the fastest growing areas. And there we cover 7 to 8 major domains, all the way from AI to data science to security and so on, right? The second area is professional development, right? Because the human being is at the end, the agent of productivity or lack of productivity in any organization. Professional development in terms of, for example, basic business skills, project management skills, agile, time management, virtual work, working in the age of sustainability, DEI. These are all professional development skills we offer. In addition, we offer a higher grade of leadership development skills, where for managers, senior managers. And we not only offer passive content or courses, we also offer coaching, which is actually goes along with our content to do on-the-job performance enhancement. We also offer offerings in safe workplace environment, which we call compliance, right? Legal compliance, as well as health and safety. We have a whole curriculum on that. We have a large number of customers that use our compliance courses. So these are the three major areas that we offer. And all of those areas are in different tiers. They're offered for individual contributors. They're offered for mid-level managers. They're also offered for senior leaders. Coming back to AI itself, within AI, as I said, we not only offer for individual contributors, we offer broad AI and Gen AI overview for leaders and change agents and change managers. In fact, we have a curriculum for leading change with AI. We have similar curriculums leading change with digital transformation, for example. So the answer to your question is yes, yes, and yes, basically, all layers in various different domains.
Understood. Now, is all the content developed by your own practitioners, or are there third-party content that are coming onto the platform that are curated?
We actually have what we call curated content ecosystem, right? So we develop a large amount of original content because Skillsoft believes in the soundness of instructional methodology, right? So we develop a large amount of original content. But we also partner very selectively with very reputed providers. And that content can come into our platform as sold as part of our collections. In addition, customers can bring in their own content to our platform because a customer has their own content sometimes. Or sometimes a customer would license another third-party content that we don't offer for some reason, right? And that can also be brought into the platform so that the customers then can create learning paths. That is a mixture of content from Skillsoft, content from customers' own repository, or a third-party partner content.
Yeah, that makes a lot of business sense. It also broadens the ecosystem and just such a creative business model. I am curious a little bit on the large language models because obviously in the generative AI, you either have used open source environments, or you're going down other pathways. Can you share a little bit on do you have different LLMs, or have you standardized on specific platform solutions? What kinds of LLMs are your sort of gateway for generative AI?
Yep. To be honest, the generative AI age is too early to declare victory and get married to one specific LLM, right? Because it is like a volcano out there, right? The leaderboard changes, every other morning. There's active innovation. So what we are doing is internally, we experiment with over 10 or dozen LLMs internally, right? As we are developing products, understanding what they're good for. Actually, certain LLMs are actually specialized in better for certain things. So product-wise, in terms of shipping products, we currently use LLMs from OpenAI Azure, right, which is Microsoft offering. We also use LLMs from Amazon in our coaching product, for example, right? So these are the two major vendors that we are currently in production using LLMs for. But we are building our products so that the specific LLM can be actually switched in or out depending on customer preference or what the customers want or a particular kind of application. So our architecture is service-oriented to some extent, whereby we can actually dynamically link to different LLMs if we want.
And I think that's very wise, mainly because of some of the dynamics that are going on in the OpenAI legal front right now, right?
Yep,
and
absolutely.
certainly see how Microsoft's navigating their investment portfolio now,
Mm-hmm.
right? As well as going into the market, sort of that good old co-opetition model as well, right? One of the, I think, key things, as you know, in this journey is the regulatory aspects and the maturity of the regulatory environment. I don't know if you've read the EU Act or kind of looked very
Of course.
at that. Obviously the US, order is there, but it's not as far along in legislation. And we won't talk about Canada because we're behind, although we've got drafts. But what are your thoughts in terms of how to manage the risk? Because you can see in the legislation that anything's marked as a high risk application, which, educational HR applications are even under increased scrutiny because of the quality of the data set. So what are your thoughts there on, the impact it will have on your operation for audit controls or bringing in third-party verifications or even registration requirements downstream, which, we're not there yet. And what do you think the impacts are going to be on innovation? That's always an interesting conversation, right?
That's such a great question, Cindy. My belief is that we obviously are on top of the regulations, right? But we are also a very responsible enterprise software company, right? First, right? So regulations or no regulations, even before any of these things were passed, we were steeped into having an internal AI ethical policy. We actually have a documented internal policy, right, of proper use of AI, holding ourselves to a high standard in terms of model biases and so on and so forth, right? We rolled out the internal policy to our product teams, to every member of the company that is using AI in a particular way. But policy is not where we stop, right? Policy is a policy framework. That's great, right? We actually do a couple of things with our products, irrespective of regulations. We anticipate these regulations, right? They'll come along, right? But we are very well prepared for it and we are in favor of it, right? So for example, in addition to the policy, in all our products, we do adversarial testing, right? We do adversarial active bias testing, very similar to ethical hacking in security, right? We do adversarial testing using various techniques, and we improve our guardrails. For example, in our products, you might try to trip it up, but it may not be so easy because we have a system of guardrails around it, and we have done active adversarial testing in our products, right? We also are working with third-party companies which are specializing in AI ethics and bias-free models. There's a small company called TrueEra in the West Coast, right? They're partnering with many other bigger companies where they are actually systematizing bias detection and bias elimination in AI models. We are very actively working with such companies so that our AI systems are as free of bias and as ethical as possible. Nothing is ever going to be foolproof, just like security is not foolproof, right? But one has to continuously strive to reach a higher standard. And we started this from day one, even before a single regulation was passed. Just like you want to be secure without a security regulation, right? So that's our motto. That's what we practice. And that's how we live every day.
Yeah, that's really good to hear. And that's really role model, not just the fact that you have an ethical construct for employees in understanding, but you're dealing with the whole operational aspects. Have you invested in a machine learning ops infrastructure so that as the different testing, of the models or the methods and the recording, so that kind of infrastructure is there on the documentation side of the modeling?
Yeah, so we want to do more, right? Because it is expansive and it's quite a lot of heavy lift. We definitely want to do more, but we have very sophisticated logging and very sophisticated kind of recording and auditable traces, right, in our systems, right, that we have implemented over the years. We are one of the we bear some of the highest certifications in terms of security. Like FedRAMP or UK Gov, certifications. As far as specifically MLOps is concerned, we are increasing our capabilities in terms of bias detection and stuff like that. But I would say there's more work to be done.
Yeah, it's an interesting area because and I know the software development methods are a little bit different in the AI data science, and the need to have the audit trails on the predictive outcomes, and if you're adding another algorithm, what shifted as a result in the performance of that model.
Absolutely.
And often engineers, some of them don't like to document, right? I've got a few of them in my team, and so it is an ongoing journey, right? But I guess in time we will see AI start to, if you think about generative AI, actually analyze what we do and provide some of that insight. So I think we're going to see the counterbalancing, the gaps, maybe, as things change, there will probably be an automatic recording that's done by an agent. I mean, that to me makes a lot of business sense, right? Focus where we can evolve. So let's talk a little bit about the top 3 lessons. You've got a significant pedigree, lots and lots of experience. I totally agree with you that, what's on the A team this week may not be on the A team next week. There's just so many developments, and even developments coming in from other countries like Vietnam, with VinAI. I don't know if you're aware of the work that they're doing there by using smaller precision large language with Dr. Hung over there, who's the CEO of their AI group. But what lessons have you learned in designing and building your AI solutions that you'd like to pass along to others? Like, what are some of the key things that can help leaders get this right?
So one of the first things I will say is be extremely iterative and aggressive in looking out for new technology trends, right? So iterative in your design and continuously experiment and improve your design, because I think the speed of change is so high. Keeping up with the speed of change requires a different way of operation, right? It requires a fundamentally different way of operation. If there's a term called super agile, I would use super agile, right? In the way you develop AI applications and continuously monitor for other resources and changes, right? So kind of in a hypersensitive mode in development is one of the biggest lessons that we are learning, right? Because assumptions that were true yesterday are not true today or 1 week from today, right? So that's one of the biggest things, right? The second thing that we are learning is designing in ethics and bias detection rather than as an afterthought, right? Because if you build up a system which is from the ground up, designing in ethical aspects and bias detection aspects and other sorts of aspects, such as plagiarism or hallucination, designing in preventions and guardrails is a far better thing to do rather than discovering after you have built up 20 layers of the system to go down 20 layers and add them one by one, right? So design in the ethical AI aspect is something that I recommend to everybody, right? Because as an afterthought, it can be actually very, very expensive. The third point I'll make is not about technology, it's about adoption. I think it's a great mixture of bottoms up as well as tops down, right? There is some bottoms up adoption, but I think there needs to be some tops down guidance from a responsible organization, such as a policy statement, such as providing employees with a secure environment so that there's no accidental leak of confidential data, right? So a little bit of tops down guidance is important. A little bit of mandated guardrails is important because things can go wrong if it's like, like thousand flowers blooms kind of situation. But you also do not want to be kind of create a situation where innovation is restricted, right? So you want to give everyday access to employees of the latest and greatest tools, but under a policy umbrella and under a mechanism that protects privacy and security and data confidentiality.
Those are three very powerful, focused lessons, and I really appreciate the underscoring of building ethical design and having the ethicists and that deeper dialogue in that iterative process. And you're absolutely right. Waiting till the end of the pipeline is really cost prohibitive, but also you don't engender the conversations that are so critical, and even the different stakeholders that need to be involved in the process and the journey. All very helpful lessons. So what's your main takeaway message for today for future-proofing AI strategies to guide us all forward? If you had one wish, what would it be?
Generative AI will be like the spreadsheet of yesterday. Everybody will need to know it, love it, and use it. So let's get going.
Thank you so much, AP, for the thoughtful comments. I've got so many other questions, but I know we're out of time. But thank you very much. I'll turn it back to Jennifer. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thanks, AP. It was a pleasure to connect and chat about AI and Skillsoft together. And thanks to all our listeners for joining us for the Predictive World series by SalesChoice. And just once more, I invite our listeners to join us at saleschoice.com/resources, where we have a trove of webinars, podcasts, and white papers and more. And join us next time for more insights on the AI world.